Hello, everyone, and today we are going to be breaking down a recent release that came from the Washington football team. They released their longtime starting right tackle, Morgan Moses, coming off of one of his best career seasons. They decided to let him go. He's been with the team for, I believe, like near 7-8 years starting there. So a long run comes to an end, and I guarantee that there will be some heat for him. There will be some people looking for him, some people trying to get him. Personally, what we're going to be doing today, we're going to be doing our first ever debate video. This is something that we've kind of been talking about for a little bit, and we finally had something to talk about. We're going to be debating, should we go for Morgan Moses or stick with Brandon Shell? Mike will be debating for Morgan Moses. I will be debating for Brandon Shell. We have to give our reasons. And what I'm kind of planning on doing here is starting a 5-minute timer for each of our opening arguments and allowing us both a 2-minute rebuttal also. And then that will kind of be the debate. And Mike, if you want to go ahead and get started, I'll go ahead and get this timer going for 5 minutes. So,
all right,
whenever you are ready to get going,
I am ready, Sam. Give me the green light, and I'll
started.
Okay, so first of all, the reason I want Morgan Moses is because I think that he's a significantly better tackle than Brandon Shell is. Last year, he had an 80.6 Pro Football Focus grade compared to Brandon Shell's 72.7. Obviously, significantly better. 8 points is. Next point, he is 6'6", 335. Brandon Shell is 6'5", 324. So he's got height and weight on him. I really do like that. In terms of age, Brandon Shell is younger, but barely. He's younger by just under a year. So we really don't have to worry about the age too much. Next, Morgan Moses has been a consistent pillar at right tackle for the Washington team, whatever their name has been during the time. He's been consistent at right tackle. I really do think that if he comes to Seattle, he could be a consistent anchor on that offensive line. Another reason I think we need Morgan Moses is because I believe that he's a better pass protector than Brandon Shell is by a significant margin. And being that we're in a division with guys like Nick Bosa, Aaron Donald, Leonard Floyd, Chandler Jones, J.J. Watt, you name it, we're going to need really good pass protectors, okay? I also think Morgan Moses is a great dude, doesn't have any off-the-field issues, has never had any trouble. I think personally he would be a great addition to the Seahawks. I think actually we could save we might not save money by getting him, but I think, just making Russ happier by getting a better quality offensive lineman, I think is just the way to go. And I would really prefer to sign Morgan Moses and cut Brandon Shell, in my opinion. And that's probably like a minute and a half. I talked really fast. I went Eminem mode there. I rest my case to the juror.
All right, so you used just under 2 minutes. I will now start my timer.
Nice.
I'm going to begin my argument with Brandon Shell for a couple reasons here. Number one, I think Brandon Shell overall gets a pretty bad rap. Last year, he actually, when healthy, was a very above average right tackle according to the stats. He didn't allow many sacks. He had a great pass blocking grade. Just going back on it, for a couple weeks, I mean, against, some teams, he had a solid 70 grade throughout the entire season and a nearly 80 pass blocking mark. So Shell is a good player. That's not really for debate. He's a good, solid right tackle. Number two, I don't really see the need to add another right tackle. It's not a crucial need. I don't see a reason to necessarily add him on and just be like, hey, Brandon Shell is good, but we're gonna maybe pay a couple extra million to outbid a team to bring him on. That's my third argument for Brandon Shell. Morgan Moses will have a wide market. The last thing I want at this time of the year is to get in a bidding war for him, especially when a lot of teams are going to be targeting a experienced right tackle. So personally, I think that the playing difference isn't that wide. I think that Shell is a perfectly capable and above average starter at right tackle. I don't think that he was a big issue last year for Russell Wilson. If anything, I think that was the interior offensive line. I don't think we even improved that much from maybe signing him. And personally, I think that it's kind of foolish to say, hey, we're going to bring in a guy in camp and we're just going to be like, all right, Brandon, you played great, but we just brought this guy in named Morgan and he's just going to take your spot. Like, he's literally just going to take your spot. We're signing him for $6 million, $7 million. He's going to take your spot. and he's going to learn the system, and he's got to learn the all-new system. And that's another argument. I think
So-
Brandon Shell works somewhat well for the new Shane Waldron system, while I don't know how Morgan Moses will fit immediately into that scheme. So now I will rest my case. I know that some people will disagree with me, but personally, I think it's not a huge – I don't think it's a huge need.
I personally have a rebuttal to this. So when you look at because they didn't play the same amount of snaps last year, Brendan Shell, like I said, had the injury problems that really Morgan Moses can't speak didn't have. When you look at their per play basis, so they allowed on average for Morgan Moses 1 sack per every 213 pass blocking snaps. For Brendan Shell, it was 1 sack for every 224 pass blocking snaps. Better, but when you look at penalties, you look at Moses, he had 1 penalty per 177.5 snaps. Brandon Shell had 1 penalty per 168. Jermaine Ifedi would be like 1 penalty per half a snap, right? Because obviously he had 2 penalties of play. Anyway, what I'm saying is with Shane Waldron's new system and with, the way we're going to do checks at the line of scrimmage and we're going to do hot routes and we're going to do all this motion and all that, we don't want guys that are going to be committing penalties. Morgan Moses commits penalties at a significantly lower rate. He pass blocks in terms of sacks allowed at a minusculely, is that a word? I don't know, lesser rate. But he did play the whole season. Brandon Shell did not. So we kind of have a limited sample size for how good Brandon Shell really is. Should he have played the whole year? I mean, I believe that he didn't play in some crucial games that the offensive line got their butt whipped. So I think Morgan Moses will be a significant enough upgrade at right tackle that we could splash a couple extra million. We could save by cutting Brandon Shell after that happens. I think Russ would love to have a guy like Morgan Moses. I think he would commit less penalties. I think he'd be better for our system. He's bigger, and I think we need all the help that we're going to get if we're going to block guys like Nick Bosa, J.J. Watt, Aaron Donald, Leonard Floyd, etc., etc. I rest my case again. Second time I've rested my case.
Okay. Number one, Brandon Shell was not that injured last year. He played pretty much every single game through the first 10 games. And then he gets his ankle rolled up in a nasty freak accident against Arizona. I remember the play.
Yeah,
so that's not necessarily him being injury prone. That's just somebody rolling up on his ankle and him rolling it and him missing a couple weeks.
True.
Second, he was set to come back after just being out for a couple weeks, but then he came down with a false positive or a close contact COVID incident where he missed 1 to 2 games. And by the next week, versus Arizona, not versus Arizona. We were set to play the Rams that week in a game where we got battered on the offensive line. Brandon Shell was not active.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what that says.
That's part of what I'm saying about the sack ratio. I think his would be a little bit worse should he have played in those games. Therefore, better sack ratio, better penalty, better durability. All of these things just kind of go into Moses' favor, in my opinion.
Well, also, I'm going to add on to that. Shell, I feel like what the main play that we remember the main game that we remember in our mind for Brandon Shell is the Rams playoff game. And that is very unfair in Brandon Shell's favor, in my opinion. Because Brandon Shell, I don't know how many people watch the Seahawks, how many Seahawks fans watch the Seahawks and keep track of the offensive line and actually watch the offensive line. Brandon Shell had really surprised me. I thought he was going to be a maybe below average player. I thought that he was easily above average last year. And frankly, I think that the Rams game was unfair to him because he had missed those games beforehand and he was not warm. It was wrong for Pete to start him. Honestly, it was wrong for Pete to start him in that situation because he had even sat him personally the week before. He was like, yeah, we're just going to sit you, Brandon. We don't need you this week. We already won the division. We're just going to sit you. It's unfair for Brandon Shell. I just think that overall, I'm looking at this here. I'm thinking that Brandon Shell is a already capable right tackle. What would happen? We know that Shell can succeed in Seattle because he has. But what would happen if, let's say, we go out and we sign Morgan Moses for $3 million more? We cut Brandon Shell, and then we go out and say, okay, Morgan Moses had a bad year this year. What if that does happen? I think that we may as well stay with the player who we know could succeed here and is already fluent with the offensive system, and he's likely only going to get better in our system once Mike Solari will continue to mold him into the Seahawks offensive lineman, because there is an ideal Seahawks offensive lineman that Mike Solari likes, and he tries to build every Seahawks player into that. I think that he will continue to grow into that kind of thing that the Seahawks really desire and want. Overall, I just think that Morgan Moses, while being a good player and maybe a slight upgrade, is unnecessary, especially in a situation where we'd be in a bidding war with 10 other teams. And then what would happen if it was reported that we were interested in Shell, and then, Shell sees this, and now he's like, hey, man, what the hell is up with that?
What the Shell is up with that? Got him. Let's go.
Yeah,
I'm so dumb.
But like, he walks into Pete's office, he's like, bro, I just gave you a career season, and now you're out here looking for a replacement who was maybe marginally better than me, and you're willing to pay multiple million more. I just don't think that overall it's super necessary. And I don't think that he was even the problem on the offensive line. And I think we kind of failed to capitalize on the issue with the offensive line, which was the interior. We got Gabe Jackson. Ethan Posick is still center. I'm hoping that Ethan Posick will be better. Yeah. Honestly, I think it would be more worth it just keeping Shell and maybe building in with things that we might need, like if the Seahawks want to go out and get Richard Sherman or something like that, or KJ Wright. We still have an offer out for KJ Wright. If we go out and we say, well, this is an unnecessary thing, we're going to sign Morgan Moses and let Cody Barton start at outside linebacker. Now, how does that set up your team? Because now you just picked up a guy for a couple million more, and you release Brandon Shell. He goes to another team, likely where he will be above average once again. Mm-hmm. And then now you're stuck with maybe Cody Barton or somebody or another position that is weak that you could have improved with that money. So, frankly, just for my ultimate summary, I think it's an improvement. I just don't think it's needed, and I think it would be a very unnecessary thing to do. And I feel like it would almost be like forcing it to be like, hey, we're gonna go out and get Morgan Moses because we're all about the offensive line, and meanwhile you refuse to improve maybe the worst position on the offensive line, which is the center.
So, really quick before I kind of make my last closing statement before the video ends, this is kind of a lightning round video. Let us know what your thoughts are down below. Should we get Morgan Moses? Should we keep Brandon Shell? Should we put whoever at right tackle? Let us know what you guys think down below. Last thing I will say, I agree with you on the point that if it comes out, hey, Seahawks are interested in Morgan Moses, and we don't get him, Brandon Shell will be pissed. He will be, in other words, shell shocked. I can't stop.
Damn it.
Can't stop. Can't stop. Won't stop.
Mike.
Can't stop. Won't stop.
Come on, Mike.
Anyway.
Shell shocked.
I was thinking about that the whole time you were talking. Anyway, but what? Yeah, I was like, ugh, so good. What if? So Brandon Shell's on his last deal of the year. What if we go out and we get Morgan Moses for 3 or 4 years and get a solution at right tackle long term?
Well, that's a different variable. But once again, you have to wonder at what price will that cost. Would you rather maybe us extend Brandon Shell for maybe 1 or 2 more years on $8 million over those 2 years, or $4 million over the next 1 year? We extend him just like that. Now we're sitting there with Brandon Shell, who's younger, maybe has higher upside, because I remember when the Seahawks signed Brandon Shell, people were like, this guy's very raw. He's athletic, but he's not really ready to play. Maybe Shell has a higher upside, and maybe Morgan Moses is kind of capped off at where he will be. So I kind of feel you there, but like, would you rather have Shell on an extension? Question here. Shell on an extension for 1 to 2 years, and let's say it's overall now for his contract, it's 3 years, $13 million. That's his current contract. Or would you rather have Morgan Moses for like 3 years, $21 million?
I don't know. I guess that is a question for the people in our comments section to answer. So YouTube,
nice segue.
YouTube GMs, let us know what you think. Should we sign Morgan Moses? Should we keep Brandon Shell? Should we extend Brandon Shell? Should we sign and then extend Morgan Moses? I don't know. As usual, make sure to like this video, subscribe for pretty much daily content. I mean, we have like a 7 or 8 day upload streak. I mean, not to pat ourselves on the back, but we're kind of kicking ass right now. Thank you.
We are more than kicking. We are going all out. We're balling. We are on this consistent upload schedule.
Mm-hmm.
We're on the regular.
We're shelling them out. Yes, another one. Let's go. Oh, I set that one up too. I'm so excited. So until I think of more Brandon Shell puns, I think that's gonna do it for this episode. And we'll see you guys later. So
peace out.